What's going on, Team FPL Fantasy? I am here to give you my Game Week 1 team as it stands. Now, Doc is going to be taking the reins of the weekly video this week. I'm actually out of town, so I won't be able to record, but I still wanted to give you an idea of what my team looks like going into Game Week 1. So, before we get into it, wanted to say, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, anything that you can do will definitely help out. As you can see, I am in my Dungeons and Dragons shirt and I am ready to game. Let's do this thing and get into it. So, looking at my team right now, you see that I tried to go a little bit more flexible, kind of big in the back. So, starting all the way at the top with the goalkeeper, we'll just go through one by one. I started off with Henderson. The reason why I started with Henderson is there's a lot of threads out there, and I think Eric Freeman is one of them that actually wrote a thread on clean sheets aren't everything for goalkeepers especially. So we have goalkeepers like Ederson and Allison that aren't going to get a ton of saves but are going to get so many clean sheets, maybe 20, 23, maybe 25 in a great year clean sheets, but that's not going to be everything that you need in order to make your goalkeeper actually work for you. You also want saves, and we've seen with goalkeepers in the past like Henderson and like Martinez, the first year that he really exploded and got on everybody's radar, they were on teams that didn't necessarily have the best defensive sides, but with an occasional clean sheet here and there, racking up a couple bonus when they could, and also getting save points, maybe 2 or 3 occasionally at times. They got an awesome score, and they really helped us out on the team for that low price of 4.5. That is why I went with Henderson. Yes, he is on Nottingham. I know Nottingham have kind of really gone into this transfer window and done some crazy stuff and almost reformatted their whole team, so I'm okay if they just get clean sheets and a couple save points, but I think they're going to have a little bit of an issue linking up and also adjusting to the speed, the pace, and the technicality of the Premier League. There's going to be save points to be had. So looking at my defensive line here, I have Zinchenko. I don't think he's really hit his stride yet at Arsenal. He's only played 2 preseason games under Arteta, and I think there's not really 100% confidence on where his position is going to be. Yes, he's filling in for Tierney right now while he's still recouping from his injury, but there's a lot of talks that he's going to slot right into the midfield, and he's going to be that out of position attacking option. Cancelo and Trent, they're both amazing players. We know them year in, year out. They just bag you a ton of points. I can't go without them. So I have both of those guys in my team, and then a Spurs defender. So as it stands on Saturday, Doherty had started opposite of Perisic. I think that as long as he keeps up what he did towards the end of the year, right before he got injured under Conte's system, he is going to be invaluable. And I'm looking at it this way: Perisic, yes, he's the popular pick, but I'm going to save 0.5 million just getting Doherty here, and I have 0 in the bank. So this is crucial to my plan in order to have him. Next, we're going to look at the midfield line. What do I have going on in the midfield? So I'm trying to hit all of the necessity teams. I think Manchester United are going to come out with a bang. A lot of people have Sancho. I don't have enough money for Sancho, but I think this could be a big revival under Ten Hag for Rashford. So Rashford is right in there at that 6.5 level. Grealish, I brought him in. I think he's going to be big time assister. He might even grab a couple goals. Usually in the second year under Pep Guardiola's team, players get a lot more points. They become more active. They're not sitting on the bench as much. Grealish only got 80 or 84 points last year. I expect that to probably double this year. He's going to see a lot more time, and as we saw in the second preseason match and Haaland's first match under Guardiola, Grealish is looking to assist. He knows he's going to have a guy up there. All he needs to do is slot it across the box. And as it stands on Saturday, Liverpool did beat Man City. I don't put too much weight in that. I don't think Haaland is the best choice right now. I think he's still fitting into the system, but Grealish is your go-to, 7 million. Next, I went a little bit different than a lot of other people. I went Madison. So Madison, I think, is really going to have a great year. He only has league games, so he doesn't have to worry about Champions League or any of that other stuff that he would typically have to worry about year in, year out. What that's going to do is make him focused on getting into that World Cup team. Yes, he wants to be there. He's going to work his butt off to make sure that he can get into that World Cup team. Additionally to that, there's less opportunities for him to get injured. That is a huge thing. 8 million, he's got the quality of at least a 10 million player, I think, at times, but he gets injured, he gets out of form, he has a horrible run of games, and he plays half the season. Now, I know a lot of people have talked about Leicester don't have a great run-in. I disagree, really. Looking at their run-in, they have Brentford. Should be a good game for him. Arsenal is going to be a very tough game. They have completely redone their whole team. We'll talk about that in a minute, though. Southampton, easy. Chelsea, for Chelsea's sake, I hope they get it figured out by game week 4. But right now, I think Chelsea is very overestimated. Their defense doesn't look like they even know what's going on. And yes, they did lose their center defenders, and they're really not sure what's happening defensively wise. They got to figure out something eventually. I think we're going to see Chelsea give up a lot more goals. Yes, they'll probably score about the same amount of goals because their attack hasn't really changed too much. They're not going to be the type of team that is going to hold down a ton of clean sheets like we've seen. And then from there on out, they don't have very difficult games. It's going to be an awesome run of fixtures for Mads to really get points, get on his form, and hopefully boost me up the ranks. Next, Salah. Throw the captain on him. Don't worry about it. He's got Fulham. He's like Trent and Cancelo. Just put him in your team. Don't worry about it at all. Now I decided to go in my forward line with Kane. Kane, I think, is going to have probably his best year that he's had in the league. Conte really feeds to his strengths, and he is going to explode. If he ends up having a 250 point or more year, that's without a doubt not a surprise to me. Should be a great year for Kane. I'm going to bring him in, and he's going to be probably almost as much of a no-leave player as Salah, but we'll put that to the test in coming weeks. Kane, once again, something I want to talk about. Ooh, everybody's worried about him. He's got a tough fixture with Chelsea. Second game week. I don't think it's that tough of a fixture. Like I had mentioned with Mads, this game is even earlier in the season, so Chelsea really have to figure it out. Basically, game week 1, if they want to challenge the Spurs here. Kane's going to be an awesome pick. Would I captain him? Maybe, maybe not for game week 2, but he's going to be a stud. I can almost promise you he's probably going to get a goal against Chelsea at least. So don't shy away from Spurs assets because of that, because I haven't seen a Chelsea defense that can really stop anything from going into the back of the net. Going into Arsenal, kind of how I talked about before, and I said we'd talk about the rework after the fact. We have Jesus. He's a killer. He's destroyed preseason. This morning, Saturday, he got 3 goals, and I think he is probably one of the best valued players right now. I don't know if he just is fitting perfectly into Arsenal's system and working great with Arteta, but he's going to be an absolute stud. He's unleashed. I think just get him in and don't worry about it. Then on my bench, I have Patterson. I think he is such a great value pick, especially compared to Nico Williams. He's really performed well in the preseason, even though Everton have had some pretty tough games there, so I'm hoping that he stays a starter. 4 million, he's going to do great. Against Chelsea, they'll probably lose, but there's potential for goals. And then Andreas Pereira, he's got Liverpool but I'm putting him in there because I think that he's a good value pick at 4.5. He's really going to help out the team. Hey, he's got a great connection with Mitrovic on corners, apparently, that I don't think any of us really expected that. So get him in your team. He's going to do great for you. Also, great bench option. If he comes off the bench, you'll be fine. If you get stuck needing to use him, currently I don't think that's a horrible thing, but I wouldn't make him one of your solid starters at the beginning of the season. And then 4.5 forward, just needed somebody to fill that spot. There's not a lot of great picks for your 4.5s, and we have some really high owned 4.5s because everybody's just looking for a body to put in there. I went with a middle of the range 4% owned 4.5 forward. That's where I'm going with this. I do have a little bit of struggle with the Grealish and Madison position where I could end up moving to like Saka, or probably game week 5 I can look into moving to Zaha, and there's a bunch of great 8 million options there, but right now this is where I'm lining up. I feel comfortable with this. I don't think it's going to change in the next 6 days, but we'll see at the deadline. Everybody, have an absolute great last week of preseason. Let's get into it. Let's get points. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And this season is going to be the best one yet. Thank you for watching. Peace.